fellas, friends, subscribers, viewers, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. I've always wanted to use a new intro, and so there you go. We used a little something different, refreshed the episode here a little bit. We've got this weak army, and it's of moderate weakness, right? We do have this core of tier 4 units. There's some 3s in here, but at the bottom of our roster, we've got about 150 total scrubs, militia, veteran archers, recruits, and whatnot. And we're doing a little raiding down here in the Southern Empire territory because we're picking a fight, right? We want a battle today. We're hoping to fight a force that's either significantly larger than ours. I don't want these guys attacking. Larger than ours, or we want them to have very high level troops, right? The purpose of this series here, this weaker army series, is to try to execute tactics and defeat powerful enemies in Bannerlord using those tactics, right? Looks like the dogs have been called to investigate the noise, right? That's how we always feel like a raid activates a bunch of troops to come and take a look. And it looked like an army. Yep, we have a Southern Empire army here investigating. So I've got a force following me here, and we're going to take a peek here and see how strong these forces are. So this is a Vandalia has a moderately strong army, some Palatine guards. I would say that's a moderately strong army. This is a pretty strong army, though. We've got, let's see, elite cataphracts, 33 elite Manabliatons. And this army is stacked. Holy shit. 99 elite cataphracts, 70 elite heavy lancers, 53 cons guards. So that army is... Okay, this is going to work. I can't get over how strong that one army is. I think, actually, that's the Southern Empire King, a Carrion or whatever. God, he's got some fucking tough units in his army. I think this guy's part of the main army, and then Hekaran, he's also part of the army. Look, he's got legionnaires and other elite Manabliatons, 28. So obviously we're facing a very strong force of Southern Empire here, and I see a lot of horse archers. I'll show you a few of my troops. Again, we've got tier 4, tier 3, tier 2s, no tier 5. That's the crux of it in our entire army. In fact, I've been trying to, when our companions here upgrade troops to tier 5, I've been trying to dump them, right, so that we don't have any tier 5 in this challenge. The idea is sort of simulating that we're an early to middle game army, and we're trying to defeat these very tough armies, right? You see, I've got good companions, but her skills don't look... Actually, she looks worried. Doesn't she look worried? You know, we're trying to fight armies packed with tier 5 and tier 6 units, and of course we're tier 2 to 4. Actually, we're tier 1 to 4, right? We've got recruits. Now again, I may do an RTS mod of this video if the enemy gives us a good fight without totally whipping our ass. This is going to be good. This water here, we're going to be able to execute some excellent tactics with this, formulating a plan. And if we have success here, if it's a filmable battle, I say that because I film these live. Why do I have so many archers? There are archers in my infantry here. Okay, we got to reset this unit. It got a little bugged. But the point is if this battle is good, even if it's close, even if we lose and it's close, we will try this with the RTS mod, because I know a lot of you guys prefer the RTS mod for seeing combat on the battlefield, right? Just like this pre-battle menu, you can actually see what's going on better. And so we'll fight this battle twice if this battle is either close or we can win. All right, here's what I'm looking at strategically. Let's see, I'm going to assign some captains, but what I want to do here is I want to have 2 cav divisions, because I'm going to have a distractionary army, a distractionary force. We're going to put the 7th cav with a nice captain that'll reduce the amount of damage she's taking on the other side of the bank here. You see the enemies on the other side of this bank. And what I want to do is I want to basically have a distractionary force over there while we focus on destroying the main force or whatever force comes at us. My real hope is whatever horse archers they have, they attack these crossbowmen, right? If anybody who watched the battle against the Asurai, you probably saw us deal with their Vanguard Ferris with this type of crossbow division. So my plan here is to have this crossbow division on the other side of the water here. Switch a few more captains here and put this guy in the 6th, and have a cav division here as well. So for the enemy, they're sort of presented with 2 choices here, right? They can attack one of our 2 forces. They can't attack them both. What I'm hoping is that we can distract and pull off a good amount of their forces to attack these forces over here on this side, and then focus our main firepower over here on the right side. Our 2nd cav in front, a 1st infantry division in a square, a 6th skirmishers. That's too many skirmishers. And these guys are going to be paramount to this battle. Now, you guys have seen me do this before. It's part of what I consider a shield and shock strategy. These are shock troops, right? We're going to position these guys behind a line of shields, right? In a shield wall or in a tight line, and then unleash hell on the enemy cavalry, right? These guys have a commander that has a banner that increases their damage against mounted troops. So this large force with elite cataphracts, and if the horse archers are dumb enough to charge, they will get mauled by this 3rd division. Meanwhile, the archers, of course, are going to play a critical role. I don't know how many horse archers they're going to have, but they're going to have a lot. And my idea here is that we can shoot a lot of them off their horse from a distance with that horse archer, or with that archer division. It's in a big, long spread line, and the horse archers will be slowed down by this river. And of course, this river is part of the whole strategy. Right? One of the most critical parts of slowing down enemy heavy cav is to have them hit some kind of obstacle, hit trees, have a slope, have some water that they have to run through. Anything that slows down their heavy cav charge, because then they do much less damage, right? Then our archers can shoot them once they're moving slower. Then our shock troops can unload on them once they're all bound up. And so I've got these guys in a square. I think we'll actually tuck them in right behind these guys in a shield wall. And they'll be basically directly behind that shield wall, right? Those guys have no protection, so we'll stick them behind a line of shields. The enemy's coming in kind of slow. And you can see, here comes their cav. Over here, again, on the left flank, we're not really going to mount a major attack. And by the way, I am going to fight a little bit, but just kind of around the margins of this battle. Take out this bitch with the flag. We'll do little things here. Now, this 4th division is shooting, but I want them in a square right away, right? You see how they're going to get mauled. Whether it's heavy cav or those horse archers, these guys are going to get totally mauled. So we'll put them in a square right here. And what I'm hoping is it distracts enough attention that we can handle this big onslaught on the other side. The enemy's charging in. I'm a little bit late to responding here. They're kind of barreling through our different lanes, but a lot of guys are stacked up here. It's already time to send these shock troops in. And look at these units. They're held up, and now they're going to get destroyed. Right? Cav that can't move, or cav that's just knee-deep in shock troops, look at the death span. They are completely massacred. Right? These guys are getting wasted off their horses. The horse archers, okay, they're way over there. So I've got divisions over there that are distracting them. In fact, we can assign this skirmisher division to help block some of those horse archer arrows. My God, the death spam was like, I just killed their king. The death spam was like, well, it's changed now, but it was like almost all green. And look at these cav, they're stood up, and they are getting absolutely razed. The horse archers are starting to come in on the side, so what we'll do is we will use lines and shield wall here to progressively block some of these horse archer attacks, right? To protect our archers. And the next concern I have is the enemy infantry vanguard, right? We just dealt a devastating uppercut to their cav. Here comes their vanguard. First division moves into a square. The 3rd and the 6th are going to pull back because these are our skirmishers and shock troops. And we are going to basically distract the main enemy vanguard and then hammer them with shock troops. Here comes the shock troops. They charge. The skirmishers get told to charge. And I think this infantry is going to be annihilated. Now, we're going to suffer losses here. We're fighting elite infantry. I'm just kind of watching the death spam. I actually don't see a lot of their infantry getting kills. Their archers are getting kills. Again, I'm going to try to block their archers with the cav shield wall. You'll see me using cav defensive a lot. But look at our infantry in here just obliterating everything in sight, right? These shield shock guys, and I should mention the archers, of course, are on the enemy flank, right? So they're getting shot from the side. I'm fighting a little bit, but I'm not going to play this battle like it's desperate. It's critical for me to kill 200 guys. I'm going to do a lot of observing, and when there's enemies kind of in my way, maybe I'll wail at them. So again, putting cav shield wall directly in front of the enemy. The enemy's charging us, all right? So we pull in units with the follow me call here, and any of these guys that are like halfway into their charge, we attack. Okay, they didn't quite charge through the midst here. They were lucky. If they did, we were ready for it. They're kind of going around the edges there. So we're going to start progressively moving back. I'm doing that for a number of reasons. Part of the reason I'm doing that is because I want to basically get our units closer to our spawn point. We used this river to beautiful advantage, and now we're going to pull back. Although it's interesting, the enemy's reforming. I'm going to club a few of these guys here. I get a little bloodlust here in fights. It's hard for me just to stand here. Have some of that, motherfucker. But we fucking demoralized that first wave, and that was an incredibly elite wave of troops. Look at these guys coming in fucking one at a time, fucking dipshits. This guy's chasing me. Alright, let's see what we got going on here. The enemy looks like they're rushing us with archers. I'm not quite certain what's going on. We're going to put guys in shield wall here, and we're going to assess the next enemy move before we try our next tactical maneuver. It really does seem like they're charging us with archers. Okay, they still have a lot of horse archers left. So that's our next sort of puzzle to solve in this battle. Here's how we're going to solve their horse archers, right? The main thing we're going to try to do is distract with shield walls, hope that our shield walls absorb a lot of their attacks, and then hammer them with this very wide tranche of archers, right? We have almost as many archers as them. Our guys just aren't moving. So how do you help that? One of the ways you help that and help those guys kill is to put shields in front where they absorb a lot of these blows. We're going to stick this third right in behind these guys. You see how tightly packed they are? And those guys are going to be absorbing a lot of arrows. In fact, I hear their shields being hammered. It's like they're probably just going back and forth. They're going to cycle back and forth here. Now, again, advantage the river here. If the enemy tries to cross the river here, what's going to happen is they're going to face a withering archer fire, and they're going to be moving a lot slower, right? So we're going to have an advantage for our archers. Now, if they just do what they're doing, that's fine. We're effectively willing to joust at range with them. Look at this dipshit coming by himself. Yeah. Now what I'm doing is I'm moving a square over there to kind of mess with them, right? I've got a square of infantry there. It's only 25 guys, but I'm just kind of presenting it as something for them to ponder. And I want them confused. I want them concerned. And they continue to look like they're cycling back and forth here. So we're going to continue to move down the river here towards our spawn spot. Every opportunity I have to kind of move towards the spawn spot, we're going to take it. Trying to keep these shock troops tucked in there. They're taking some shots. It's kind of inevitable. I hear the arrows hitting them. A lot of them are hitting that square though. And our archers are taking kind of a beating too, but I would say we still have a good solid 100 archers that have ammo. And I say that because some of them by now are literally out of ammo. Now, again, I'm not fighting in earnest. I'm just kind of throwing a javelin here and there just because I'm restless. You can see I'm just kind of cycling around the enemy. I'm doing this mostly so you can observe what's going on. Okay, so their main troop is coming up, but they're in a lousy formation. They really should be using their infantry at the same time as these horse archers, but this is the AI we have, right? They're either perplexed by what we're doing, we're taking a beating now. They're either perplexed by what we're doing, or this is just the AI. This is the AI plumbed in to kind of attack in a skirmishing kind of way here. We're sending in a very handful, half dozen of heavy cav. Those guys have no chance of getting through this thick infantry line. I have all 4 infantry lines stacked up together here, right? It's actually 3 only, but there's a cav line in there as well. So that's like 120 guys packed tightly in there. Oh, actually I forgot. The first is across the way there, so it's really only like 90, but that infantry is packed in tightly. So the enemy has archers that are sort of trying to flank us here. Well, we're just going to push our infantry right at them. Right? We've got this incredibly strong shield wall. The shock troops are behind them, and now we can send these guys in to kill. Oh, beautiful. We just got reinforcements right behind the enemy. It's time to react quickly here. What do we got? We got cav. I got cav. I'm going to bring my cav in immediately and pinch all these horse archers. And then we got 116 in the 1st Division. Those are infantry. All right, we'll have the infantry charge and the cav follow me. We're going to roll up this force here. The enemy fucked up. Their forces are effectively trapped between our main forces here and our reinforcements. If these were real troops, they would probably fucking wave the white flag, but the enemy instead is going to try to flee, and we're going to kill a lot of these guys on the way out. I'm trying to block as many of them as I can with our infantry here so our shock troops can fucking waylay these guys. they're actually going the wrong direction. I scared them back the other way, and that's a disaster for them. Now they're knee deep in water, being shot by our archers. I'm gonna get a few kills here just for fun. Now they're charging our cav. This enemy is fucked. I mean, it was 4-2. Oh, that's mostly shock troops. Right? Let's get some shields in front of those guys. Let's get the shock troops behind a protected line here. A little confused my units here. Okay, so the third. The third is still shocked. That's 34 shock troops. This reinforcement wave kind of confused me. But we've got the enemy fucked now. We just annihilated almost all their horse archers, and they are turtling up here. Okay, so I call this position. You know, I don't know. A lot of my viewers and watchers here are probably not from the United States, but in the United States they have NFL football, American football, and there's a formation that I like to call. It's in the NFL they call it victory formation. You know, it's when you've won the game. The enemy here is doing what I consider. Sorry, I'm trying to navigate all these commands and narrate. They are entering a formation I call defeat formation. This is a certain defeat for the enemy here. They're allowing us to surround them. We're going to get archers on this flank while we truck them with cav. This is going to be a complete annihilation of the enemy here. We're bringing up infantry and shield wall on this side. I've got cav on the far side. We're going to bring up infantry on the enemy's right flank as well to completely encircle them. They're just kind of sitting there. I mean, their archers are shooting here and there. I see a kill here and there, but this is, like I said, folks, this is not victory formation. This is certain death formation. Our shock troops are on the enemy's right flank now, pouring into them. Our cav just charged, totally swallowed them up. They have nowhere to run to, and now our 3rd division gets sent in, right? These angry shock troops just barreling in. Our archers are completely untouched. In fact, let's keep moving them along the riverbank. I like them across the river because, of course, it's hard for the enemy to get troops to them quickly, right? I can perform maneuvers to get them to safety before the enemy can do anything. And the enemy really is swallowed up here. Now they're regrouping, and they're regrouping with 60 or 70 heavy cav just trucking through here. I mean, it's massive green death span. As soon as they turtled up like that, what I mean by turtling up is formed a tight defensive knot, this battle is over. I mean, they have another wave coming here. I guess I could be eating crow here if we lose, but I'm almost certain that this battle is over. We're going to reform here. I see high-level troops, actually. The enemy still got some tier 6 or tier 5 infantry in there. It's interesting. All right, so they're reforming. We'll reform. We'll see what the enemy does. I have an archer in a beautiful position. I don't need to make any desperate decisions here. They're shooting on the enemy's flank. I've got cav protecting them. And you know what it looks like? It looks like the enemy's turtling again. All right, if they want to sit in this defensive knot, that's just fine. We'll be able to basically illustrate to you the same thing I just did, right? So the enemy, again, is in a very tight defensive position. I call it defeat formation. The only way you should lose in this situation, of course, besides just attacking frontal, you should never attack just on the front here. The only way you should really lose here is if you don't have enough troops to surround them. Right? If you don't, obviously, if you're outnumbered. Of course, if you're outnumbered, the enemy shouldn't be doing this. So we're going to drag this archer division all the way along the enemy's flank. Of course, they have almost no counter to that. But just to be safe, we have a cav shield wall in front of them, protecting a lot of those guys from arrows. Now, they're throwing 1,000 javelins here, but our guys have their shields up, so we'll lose a guy here and there. But that's not a concern. Now it's time to start spreading divisions out on them, and we're going to attack them again with 3 different sides. This dipshit's trying to run out of here. We're going to bring in cav on the side, and we're going to surround them with these other 3 infantry divisions. Now our infantry divisions at this stage are kind of small, right? There's like I don't know, maybe there's 130 guys, 120 guys. They're not big divisions. There's 98 in the first. We'll put the enemy, or the infantry, excuse me, the cav behind them. And start squaring these divisions around the enemy, right? We're basically going to attack the enemy on 3 sides. Look, if they're dumb enough just to sit there, we will surround them and kill them. Our archers are still scoring kills. Now our archers may be out of ammunition. We have hardly any third corps left. These guys are coming up. The third corps is this original shock troops from the beginning of the battle. So we've now totally turned the formation of the enemy, and now it's time to drive in on it. Their archers are kind of in a skewed, strange position. In fact, they're turning their archers to our melees back. We send in the cav, we send in all 3 infantry divisions, and now we're going to follow these retreating archers with their cavalry. Right? We're going to basically chase down anybody that tries to reform. Oh, they're not reforming. Okay, they're going to fight it out. That's fine. Our cav can cycle charge. Our archers are pounding them on the flank here. It's a very bad situation for the enemy. Now they're actually doing pretty well. You know, they're getting quite a few kills. I think that's because for some reason they still had tier 5 infantry left. They just got a wave of reinforcements, but our cav is really going to charge down a lot of these guys before it's going to matter. You can see the death spam is now almost entirely green. I can truck a few of these guys. At this stage, this battle is over. In fact, I might even just join my men on the ground level here. I'm itching to get into the fight. I've got this fast mace that I've been playing with the last few battles. It's a low damage custom weapon. But it's awful fun to use in battle. Right? You knock guys all over the place. It's fast enough and long enough to truck guys at range. So they're still reforming here. Okay, they've got another wave of troops coming in. At this stage, though, the enemy's down to medium and low-tiered troops. Right? We're not concerned about that. I'm going to keep all those divisions just they're pursuing. These archers are not shooting. They're just like standing there. All the death spam is from cav. I see like one guy trying to shoot.
Loose formation!
Yeah. These guys are on fire, so they're just simply out of arrows. And that's actually a great sign. We have archers that have run out of arrows in an open field battle. That means that we have positioned them in such a good spot. They've been so safe and protected. The enemy just said fire at will with their pathetic little force here. You guys are crushed. Our archers were so well protected in this battle that they literally, instead of dying, they ran out of ammo, right? That's really unusual, and it's a sign that tactically, we put them in a brilliant position for this battle. I can get on some of my bloodlust here and join my fellas. At this stage, the battle's not in doubt, right? Our archers are now charging. The enemy is fucked here. They're going to score some kills because we're just kind of F1, F3ing at this stage. We're just charging with everybody. There's no possible way that we lose this battle. In fact, I think we have another 300 or 400 forces that are probably still coming as reinforcements. So we're going to slam a few more of these guys to the ground with our mace. Fucking ignoble. They can have a fucking beat down before this battle is over here. And then we'll take a look at the results. So we will try this same battle with the RTS mod. I think it'll be really instructive and really interesting for people watching to see how it looks, from up above. There is a lot of movement, but I don't think any of the movement that we did in this battle is overwhelmingly complicated. Is it fairly complicated? No question, right? I mean, if you're commanding 3 units or 4 units and that's difficult for you, then there's no question that this is going to be over your head. And we have an intermediate tactics series, a whole playlist of 10 videos designed to help players who are sort of new to field combat. And take a look at some of our guys' kills here. The heroes did really good work. The Manavliatons absolutely destroyed, 123 kills. The line breakers did pretty well. It's pretty spread though, right? We've got this sort of spread army. There's no overpowering unit, and so all of the different units are contributing. Anyways, so we'll try this with the RTS mod. We'll come back. It'll just be a brief break while I reload the game, start up a new recording here, and then hopefully you'll be able to benefit from seeing this same battle or a very similar battle with overhead view for all the tactics that we're going to perform. Alright, so we're back and we're going to try to basically replicate everything with this RTS mod. I'm basically replicating my actions here just to ensure that the same army comes along. Of course, I've got the exact same force, and we're going to continue to use this RTS mod from the overhead perspective because I think it does benefit a lot of you watchers, and we are performing complicated tactics, right? It does look like the same Southern Empire force, this Akthon, or however you pronounce his name, is coming in. Now, I don't have any troops pursuing me this time, We've got, so it looks like we're going to be fighting a little bit less troops than the first battle. Yeah, 1,215. So again, you know, we have the same force. Hopefully you don't mind if I don't go through slowly all our same forces here, right? And it's the same enemy force. It's not like anything has changed. So again, we're going to have this RTS battle against a very potent foe here. But as you can see from the first battle, even without me flying around the battlefield killing 100 guys, we still handled them pretty readily. And this part, again, we're going to replicate all the same stuff, right? I'm going to make sure that my infantry division doesn't have any archers in it. Again, the crux of this strategy, before the last battle, what I decided is to try to divide the enemy, right? This is divide and conquer, whether you're Caesar or a more modern military leader. Dividing the enemy and destroying their forces in detail has been a classic tactic. It looks like we're in a little different position of the map here, but I'm going to use this 1st Infantry, the 6th Infantry, and the 3rd Infantry on this right flank as very critical units. It's basically going to be protecting our weaker units, in this case, well, not that many cav. That's right, the 7th cav is going to be on the left flank here. We're basically protecting our archers and our shock troops with these shield wall infantry, right? We're going to use skirmishers in a shield wall and that 1st Division infantry in a shield wall. Now, eventually, you'll see us form that 1st Division into a square, right? Just like the first battle, we're going to form it into a square and hope to distract the enemy vanguard to have them attack it. Over here, again, it's this 4th Crossbow Division, and I got to reduce this number a lot here. There's a lot of archers in here. I want this to be almost entirely guys with shields, right? A lot of these guys are some of the Valandian, I think Valandian crossbowmen have these big shields. Move a few captains around here, and the idea is basically to have this force over here sort of confusing the enemy, right? The enemy's coming in with horse archers, and they're not really sure who to attack. The enemy does a really lousy job of attacking multiple units at once. A lot of times it will just focus on, if you do this in battles, it will just focus on one, or it'll divide its forces in a way that are advantageous to us. That's what we're counting on. So skirmisher division, and then this line of 55 shock troops behind them. And that order of where those guys stand is, of course, critical because the shock troops have no shields. You can see our archers actually have crossfire attack on those crossbowmen over there, and I can use this RTS mode mod to give you a nice overview of the battle here, right? This is what these guys are going to do, right? This will show you the square. In about 3 seconds, a normal size square will get into alignment. Now, they're not holding their shields to the outside. That's because they're not being shot. If and when they're being shot at, those guys will hold their shields up to the outside. And you can see this cavalry almost like a movie scene, right? It looks like the fucking scene where the Rohirrim fly in Lord of the Rings, right? It's just a gigantic line of cavalry. And then they have some overzealous shock troops and infantry leading the way. Now, their horse archers are already circling. You can hear our crossbowmen shooting them, right? That's one of the nice things about the RTS mod, is we can also have sort of this cinematic feel to the battle as well. But we're going to be using this for instruction. So the 4th Corps is sent into a square. And you might wonder, well, why are you doing that? Like, you know, you're not getting any use out of your crossbow. We may, you know, but the main thing we're trying to do is we're trying to occupy that 180 or 190 horse archers and keep them from shooting the fuck out of us. Because if they're over here circling our whole force, they would be obliterating us, right? We don't have enough troops to defend all the different angles, and we would be fucked, right? So we're trying to essentially divide the enemy into 2 parts. Now we're moving our cav into a straight line to confront their cav charge. Look at this water. They can't charge with any speed. And so they come in here like they're slumbering, really slow, and now we send the shock troops. These angry 2-handed guys with a captain that gives them 30% extra damage to cav. And look at the butchery. Their cav is now standing still, getting mauled by shock troops. Now, those shock troops are protected. Their archers can't shoot them because their own cavalry's in the way. Meanwhile, our skirmishers are back here throwing javelins at anybody else they might see that needs to be killed. We're actually going to move a cav division here. Okay, never mind. They're pushing away. The square's out in the middle there. You can see here comes their vanguard coming towards the square. In fact, some of our shock troops made it all the way into their vanguard. So we're going to move them back. We're going to move the 6th and the shock troops back. We've got time. Most shock troops move faster than guys with shields. There's some guys getting kind of caught up here. And I have a cav unit, that's the second corps, also in a square, right? So I have two different squares, and we want the enemy to swarm them. Why? Because as soon as they're sort of distracted and busy with them, we're gonna fucking throttle them with these two divisions. These archers and shock troops are about to earn their bacon. We're bringing that square a little closer in, we're sort of buying time, and we're also shooting these guys with arrows, right? You see the death spam, archers are getting kills. Now we send in the shock troops and skirmishers. And look at, they badly outnumber the enemy. You can see there's like 6 guys, 6 guys wailing away. This poor maceman is mauled. They're basically trucking everything in sight. These legionnaires, you know, they're tough. The enemy has elite troops here. Look at this legionnaire. That guy in the middle there is fucked. There's like 10 shock troops around him, and these guys are getting butchered. That guy, I saw his arm get ripped off. Now, you suffer losses here, right? Because we're fighting elite troops. This episode, none of these episodes, of course, are how to defeat the enemy perfectly. It doesn't exist, right? You're going to come to blows with these guys. What you're trying to do, though, is light up the screen in the upper right corner there with green. And recently, I started activating the setting where it shows you the name of the guys that are killing them, so that you can see we're killing elite troops with Aserai infantry and Aserai archer lower level units, right? We're not killing them with master archers. We're killing them with mediocre troops. Our infantry's wrapping this up. The rest of the Southern Empire forces pretty ragdolled in there. Now their horses are charging through here. Any of those guys that get caught up in here, frankly, it's a death trap, right? These horse archers, they're just going to get ripped off their horses just like the other units. They're almost better off running. Now, if you notice, the horse archers came into this battle towards the very end of that exchange, and that was because of the crossbow division that we put across there. Okay, the enemy's reforming now. We're going to form shield walls here. I'm not quite certain what they're doing, but anytime the enemy's reforming and I'm reforming my lines, I like to set up shield walls in front of archers and shock troops, right? We're going to protect these guys that don't have shields, all these guys with their giant fucking wood carving axes and their manavliatons. We're going to protect these guys in a thick line and observe the enemy behavior. I've got a line of archers that are still shooting. In fact, it looks like the enemy is charging with archers again. I've seen this happen before. It's perplexing. They're definitely not out of ammo. I mean, you can't expect them to be out of ammo. I think they're just trying to get into position here.
Forward! Forward!
We're going to spread our archers out into a big, long line. But you see how much protection they have. I've got a cav line there. I've got an infantry line there, right? That's the 1st Division. The 6th Corps, I can move up a little bit. And then there's another cav division of 14 guys guarding our right flank here. Now, a lot of people use cav offensively, and we do as well, but most of the time when I fight, I use them in this defensive posture, especially before we come to blows. All right, so the enemy is circling around with a lot of horse archers, and they have archers kind of moving to our flank. So what are we going to do? We're just going to disrupt their movement, right? We're moving this cav division out. The 1st Infantry is out there in a square. And again, that's to absorb arrows. These guys are here to absorb arrows. And we're essentially trying to confuse the enemy, right? All war is deception. This is Sun Tzu, right? There's many different layers and aspects of war. But one of them is to make sure your enemy doesn't understand what's happening. Now, in this case, it's the AI, right? So quite frankly, we're confusing a computer model. If you were playing players, though, and I gotta say, if there's ever a stage where Bannerlord is like 500 against 500 where you play other people, our tactics here are gonna help people who are on this channel watching regularly dominate, right? We're gonna be fucking up the enemy because I'm gonna give you a larger tool bag than the enemy has, right? You're gonna have way more tactical tricks to pull out of your tool bag than the enemy is going to be able to. Now here, the main enemy vanguard is in that defeat formation I was talking about earlier, and again, they're attacking us. Unfortunately, they're attacking us with just archers and horse archers. That is a failed strategy. So what we're doing is we're confronting them with a line of infantry, and then our spread out archer line is going to be able to counterfire just fine. Thank you very much. Right, we have roughly the same amount of archers here. It's 114 archers. And critically, right, we have a nice angle on the enemy. They're running through this water, and so when they run through the water, of course, actually, can't tell what they're... Again, their archers really seem lost here. They're like charging us, so we'll charge. We'll send in our 6th Corps. These skirmishers these guys are dying to get their hands on a fucking archer, and we will confront the rest of these horse archers now, again, with shield wall lines. You see me keep glancing over my shoulder to make sure that the other force is still sitting there like dumbasses, basically watching. Actually, they look like they're finally starting to come up, but now they're coming up, it's too late. We're going to be able to damage and kill most of their horse archers. The horse archers are now all bound up and getting kind of cornered by our 2 different units. It's butchering time here. These guys are getting mauled. Our guys are cutting down the last of their archers. I see Khan's guards getting shot in the face. The death spam, you can see it. Khan's guard. They're getting mowed down by our mediocre troops, because we've basically isolated and controlled their movement. And of course, we're blocking a lot of arrows with our shield walls. All right, their force is extremely badly positioned. I'm going to go ahead and, as Professor of Tactics here in Tactical Enlightenment College, I'm going to give them a D-. Not only are their horse archers totally failing to circle us with a combined attack, but their force is voluntarily packing into a tight mass here and going to proceed across the most dense part of this river. This is basically a suicide, and we're going to take full advantage of that. Because they're moving slow, we're going to have time to shoot them, we're going to have time to position troops here in a delicious manner, and swallow this tasty morsel of Southern Empire here. So the first thing we're going to start doing is shifting our archers to the enemy flank. The enemy has some archers in here, but they're not going to be able to really get a shot off because they're all jammed up on each other. Now we're going to spread our infantry into 2 different lines. Right, I'm going to have the 6th and the 1st towards the front here in shield wall, absorbing arrows, and then we're going to drive what little cavalry we have on the other side of the enemy. We're also going to use the distractionary square. That way they're sort of attracted to that square, and then we're going to throttle them with these skirmishers and these 3rd Corps. These shock troops that I'm pulling to this flank are now going to drive in on the enemy. Right, they're attacking our square. Our skirmishers are over here on the right. The cav is on the far side. Now we can bring up our shock troops. These archers can be told to charge at this stage too, because some of these guys are probably out of ammo, and we're going to lead the way with the skirmishers. Skirmishers have their shields up, so all their archers are hitting our guys with shields, and now we're going to send the shock troops in here to destroy everything that's still moving. These guys bellow with rage as they're sent in, right? These guys they're savages. They don't wear shield. You know, and we're going to suffer some losses here. The enemy has elite troops. I see the sergeant crossbowmen in there and veteran archers. But look at how good a job our square is absorbing the enemy's attack. They're infatuated while we're butchering their archers with shock troops. It's a very bad result for the enemy. And now their whole infantry is reforming here at the worst possible time. So we charge with the 1st Corps. We're going to take full advantage of that additional moronic move. Our archers are totally spread out, charging. The death spam is like 80% green. Every once in a while they turn to fight, and there's a little bit of red, but frankly this has been an absolute butchering. It just went solid green there. You can see him getting trucked by shock troops. And now we have cav coming up to boot, right? We have cav reinforcements at just the right time to ride these guys down. They're all dissolved. So it seems like they're pretty much dissolved. So we're going to start to form our next defensive position here. I've got reinforcement lines coming in. These are archers and infantry. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use our cav here in a defensive manner. They charged in for a little bit, and I was going to use them to kind of eat up the rest of the guys that were fleeing. But we killed so many that we don't even need to do that. We're now using that cav. You can see it out in front there in a big, beautiful line to prevent the enemy heavy horse from charging us, to prevent their archers from shooting our troops as we move up. And again, they are assuming they are assuming defeat formation by just jumbling into a big ball across the river here. They have a handful of horse archers and a handful of cav, but the enemy basically is suiciding here. Even worse, they're like charging into the river again here. A lot of these troops now are middle tier troops, so our troops are at least comparable level to their units. So between that and the fact that we're going to execute some nasty tactics on these guys, this battle is gonna end very quickly. I was actually surprised in the first battle that we won, at least won by a significant manner. Frankly, I keep expecting to lose some of these challenges. I guess we'll just keep challenging harder and harder enemies with our force. I don't want to spoil it and tell you, you know, how many of these we've had success. Some of these we've had less success than others. But you can see again what I'm doing. We got a cav shield wall, basically repelling their cav charge. We've got this archer line. We're going to just completely move this up on the enemy flank. At least now the enemy's moving their archers out, kind of fanning them out. But again, their infantry line is in a tight, packed mass, and we're going to be able to surround this force and destroy it. The 3rd Corps has a bunch of shock troops, so I'm making the line a little bit thicker, right? Our line formation is 2 or 3 deep. That way guys with shields are towards the front. And you can see the enemy's shooting, but they're shooting at our cav line. I can hear the shields getting pounded. Now we can send these guys past the enemy because, of course, we're going to use this cav as the final coup de grace here. We're going to bring our cav in, a la Napoleon at some of his famous battles here, and finish the enemy off with a cav charge. There are a handful of cons guards here are going to score a few kills. They're kind of clumsily running through our archers here, but they're also getting shot off their horses. Now our flanking movement here has concerned the enemy. You would say they're having some concerns. They're starting to shift their troops around. Unfortunately, we have archers perfectly positioned here to rake them with enfilade fire. And all they've managed to do is basically get in a nice clean stack for us to execute here. I've got 3 different infantry lines, including one that has a lot of shock troops now surrounding them. We have archers behind them, so you can't really see it. You can kind of see it up close. These guys are getting smoked by arrows from behind. And now we bring in 45 heavy cav here in a full charge just to completely annihilate the rest of these guys. We can move our archers up here. That way any retreating troops get a nice arrow as they go, a little parting gift. But look at the death span, right? It's an absolute massacre. They're actually retreating towards the river where we have our archers positioned, which is obviously, that is fatal. But this whole battle has been fatal, right? From using their units one at a time to charging at us through the deepest part of the river. The enemy basically has fought this battle as bad as they can. And it is an utter massacre. I actually don't see any allied troops dying. It's just literally the enemy being liquidated. And I don't imagine the rest of these troops that just came in for the enemy want any part of this. They can see we're moving our units in concert here. They can see that their forces just vaporized. And this battle is over. Holy fucking massacre. Against elite troops, look at my tactics skills are going up. No shit, they should be going up. Against this elite army of Southern Empire. And granted, it was less troops than the first battle. Hey, here's Zuvan. I don't know if I've ever seen my own... Is he swinging his fist? I swear he just fucking swung his fist like a dipshit. He's not holding a weapon. Okay. Well, here's your artificial imbecile. Look at he's swinging his fist. I'm not controlling this guy, folks. The AI is doing this. I'm just watching him. And the AI is running around with my character with 332-handed skill. And it looks like he's trying to punch guys. I don't know. He's like swinging his fist randomly in the air. Holding his shield up like a dipshit. I don't know if it's just bugged or what, but this episode could very easily be labeled artificial imbecility. And granted, we did, complex, highly coordinated tactics. A lot of these tactics would butcher human players, right? You can see I'm not controlling that guy. And I was saying earlier, right? If Bannerlord gets to the stage where we're playing 500 against 500 in custom battles or whatnot, or there's tournaments. These kind of tactics are going to be the kind of tactics that maul the enemy, right? A lot of guys are just using basic tactics, and you emulate what we did here and just massacre the enemy very quickly. People are going to understand that F1 and F3 does not work in Bannerlord, and tactics are a vital part of the game. You can see here, again, it's a very well-rounded attack. Kind of like the first battle, no unit got like 300 kills. It's kind of like 20 here and 10 there. So the skirmishers did pretty well, 64 kills, 75 by the line breakers. The Manavletons did some work. Of course, the shock troops are going to do a lot of damage, right? That they don't have a shield, so they better get a lot of kills. But protecting them, right? We protected these guys. We used them. We distracted the enemy with squares, and you can see the end result here is an absolute massacre. I mean, we have 600 or 700 troops left. Look, we got 347 upgrades. I mean, this was an absolutely destructive demonstration of tactics. Take all these prisoners, all these elite troops, they all become prisoner, and our guys all get to go now to the tavern and tell the tavern wench about how badass it was when they destroyed legionnaires and a bunch of elite cataphract in today's battle. See all the upgrades we would have gotten. And so we're going to wrap this episode up. Zuvan leveled up to level 53 here recently, and hopefully you guys are leveling up your tactical game in your own game. So please leave comments. I'm curious, what you guys think of this series, this Weak Army Tactics series. If you have certain battles you want to see me try with this army, it's between 700 and 800 or 900 guys. I'm more than willing to try on certain challenges. Maybe you're having a hard time against a certain kingdom. Let me know, fellas. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe and like and all that good stuff. Channel's not monetized. Said it before, but there's no ads. And if you are seeing ads, those are from Google. I'm not making any money from this. So I'm just having a good time mowing down the enemy and sharing these battles with you. And I will see you guys next time.